I deeply and bitterly regret that happened, and I can only renew my apologies.
What do you think listening to that, Roy?
I wouldn't believe a word he says.
My biggest video that I've ever had on my YouTube channel has got about 1.5 million views, which was a short that I done where I mixed in Roy Keane, footballer, with what Boris Johnson was doing and him commenting on it.
It's a serious matter. Will you resign?
I've heard now people say, well, they want him around the place. For what? What does he do? Card tricks? Does he have a sing-song? Does quizzes in the evenings? What does he do?
Now, it was obvious that this was a bit of fun, and obviously Roy Keane is commentating on a football match and he's not commentating on Boris Johnson. This is obvious to me, and I assume it's obvious to 80% of people that are watching it. But I still got lots of comments of people thinking it was real and thinking, oh, Roy Keane needs to stay out of politics, what he's talking about. And then I felt bad. I was like, oh shit, I'm putting misinformation out there, and I didn't even mean to. I was like, but I thought it was obvious that it obviously wasn't what he was saying. But I was quite shocked by that, how easily, I guess, people are just so used to just blindly believing everything that comes their way.
I mean, I think that's a part of it, right? Because you don't want to live in a world where you can't write satire, because people are going to just believe that it's real, and that happens a lot. It's part of my kind of process, I just kind of read there's a few websites that I go to, just read the fact checks on a daily basis, and a lot of it is satire being not a lot, but a decent chunk is satire being misinterpreted as real. For example, like what you're doing, you can imagine an article being like, fact check, Roy Keane did not say this comment about the Prime Minister, and you read it and you're like, well, this is a bit ridiculous, like who would have believed this?
That's what some of the comments I got, like really angry comments down below, go, this is obviously Roy Keane talking about Paul Pogba. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Of course it is. Even underneath the first line of the video description is, this is obviously a bit of fun and not Roy Keane's actual opinions on stuff. But so, it was just shocking to see that how much.
I mean, there are some people who will interpret it, like deliberately choose the least charitable interpretation, but it's something I mean, it's good to be aware of that you can use people like that, because I have this a lot as well, obviously, because I'm making a video about that thing. I think about this a lot, so I made this rule for myself that I never make like sarcastic jokes in those videos, because it's very easy when you're writing and you want to make a little joke to be like, oh well, maybe it is, or maybe this is true, and even though it's obviously not, and that kind of humor, where you're like obviously lying. But in these videos it just didn't seem appropriate, because like the whole point is that I hope, even though they are hopefully a little bit lighthearted, that you can still, everything that is said in there, is true, even if it's a joke, if it's played as a joke.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this goes throughout comedy anyway, when comedians using irony get taken the wrong way, and I guess that's always going to be there. You're always going to get people that are going to take offense and take things the wrong way.
Have you ever seen Captain Disillusion? That's a very good YouTube channel as well. I would recommend.
No, I do recognize that name though.
Really high quality videos, but he does kind of not debunks, but about viral videos. He's a VFX artist, and he explains how but people believing stuff that obviously isn't true. Again, I think it's just inevitable. The question is whether people are deliberately using that to manipulate people. And you're not going to, there's always going to be gullible people out there. And one day you're going to be that gullible person, we've all been there. Thankfully I have that check sometimes to stop myself, because I'm about to share something that I've seen. And then you have that little voice being like, you might just want to check that this is true, because you're going to look like an idiot if this is a joke, It happens to everyone, but so I think that's just part of it. But again, the point is what's the intention? And the bit that I would like to focus on more is because a lot of this comes from government, and we can lie to each other, but the damage that I can do is me. I mean, if I did it in my job, that's maybe a different thing. But as a private citizen, the damage that I can do by lying is relatively minimal. I might be able to pull people over. But like I said, when you've got, people in government telling those lies, or government programs to push,
or telling us not to listen to experts, like Michael Gove done during Brexit.
Yeah,
one of the worst things I've ever heard a politician. When Michael Gove was questioned about what the Economist was saying Brexit will do to the economy, and he just stands there and go, well, I think it's about time we don't listen to experts.
But I guess he was right? I think he said the British public have had enough of experts, and I guess he gambled correctly because they got what they wanted. So,
for preference for breakfast, Mr. Speaker, you will know what I like.
I don't care. No.
It's Nanny's homemade marmalade on toast.